mistakes I'm seeing on this part are fixable. Do you see any equal sign up here? Is there an equal sign in this problem? No, so stop trying to solve for the variable. You guys are trying to put in something to W and something into K. That's not what we're doing here. Some of you are doing opposite actions. We don't want to do opposite actions. We just want to do like terms. Underline or circle. Hold on, let me... fix this. Circle those two. We are not doing anything to the W. All we're focusing on is the numbers. What is 5 minus 2? 3. You are doing too much. If you're getting these wrong, you're doing too much. You're doing more than you have to. What if I have 9K minus K? What's in front of that K? Put a little 1 there. What's 9 minus 1? 8. And does the 4 have anything to combine with? You're done. There's nothing more we can do with that. We're not solving for the variables. We're just combining what looks the same. Anything with W's, we put together. Anything with K's, we put together. Anything with just a number. Don't do anything to the exponents. 7x4 minus 10x4. What's 7 minus 10?
3.
What kind of 3?
Negative.
-3. Did I change the exponent?
No.
No. Minus 3x plus x. Put a 1 there. What's -3 plus 1?
2.
And do I have anything to even combine with that?
No.
If you're getting these wrong, you're doing too much. So, what looks exactly the same with 4C? Anything else?
No. Yeah, or 7C. Negative 7C.
Piece by piece. How about with the plus 3CF? There's another one. So how many of those do we have? Treat it like an object. Do I have anything that I can deal with that? Minus 5f squared. I didn't change any of the exponents. I just combined what looked the same. You have to have the same variable and the same exponents. Is there anything that goes with that? Nope. Write it down. Is anything combined with 5x squared? 9x squared. There's nothing with it, so I just write it down. You don't have to have it in this order. You can put the minus 4w first. You can put the minus 2w squared last. As long as you've got each piece and they're the correct sign, you're okay. You tell me, what can I combine with 6m3?
4m3.
All right. I don't change the m3. Well, what's 6 minus 4? 2. Do I have anything to combine with minus 5mp squared? 10mp squared. Minus 5 plus 10. And this, there's nothing else. I'll just bring it over. You will see questions like this show up. I probably won't have a whole section of like terms, but you're eventually going to need it. The only difference between the top and the bottom, did we do any multiplication up here? No, we added, subtracted. Down here, you do a little multiplication. Right here, write down multiply. So I'm going to do some multiplication, then I do exactly what I did up top. What number is right there if you see a minus sign? What can I put in here? A little 1 there. Show the multiplication with a -1. What I'm seeing is people know that they should multiply, but they're having trouble keeping track of the positives and negatives. This results in negative 9x squared. What's a negative times a negative? Check and see. Did you have minus 7x? Now this problem is just like the ones up above. So you do your multiplication. Now look for things that look the same. What looks the same as that? That does. What looks the same as this? Well, that does. Multiply first. 1, 2, 1, 2. Every one of these little bumps is a multiplication. Some of you did that, and then you stopped. That's great, you did the distribution, but now you got to do the like terms. What looks the same? What's minus 6 plus 8? 2c. What's the same as minus 6d plus 32d? Done. We can't combine these. Apples and oranges, 2 different things. 2 C's and 26 D's. So people are still freezing up when we get to fractions. On sideboard, this is not going to change. This will always say get variable alone, and this will always say use the parentheses for fractions. So when you do fractions, if you don't know how to handle it, just put it in like this. With this right here, 1/3 times 15. That's how you would enter it. What do you get from that? What's 1/3 times 15? He said to the people with the calculators. 5. Don't forget the x goes with it. You should have this multiplying this and this. Tell me, is 3/8 positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. Negative times a positive, negative 9x. This times this, that's a positive 6. We just did the distribution. Now we do the like terms. What's this and this? Minus 4x. This and this plus 13. I see a little bit of distribution here. What is y squared times y?
Y cubed.
Y cubed. So from the distribution, y squared times y is y3. Y squared times 5, you just put them together. This is the only time when you change the exponent, when you're multiplying. What happens to the minus 6y squared? It just goes there. What looks exactly the same? This stuff. You got y squared, y squared. What's 5 minus 6?
Oh, -4. Or y.
And this, there's really nothing to go with it, so I just rewrite it. I can't combine those. I've got 5 multiplications to do here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. What is b times b?
B squared.
B squared. That's a -2. So I get a -2b squared, a positive 14b, and a positive 8. Take a look at your multiplications. A lot of people knew they should have multiplied, but they didn't get this. Check and see, where did you make your mistake? Was it b squared? Was it maybe not getting positive 14b or positive 8? Now you gotta combine. Did somebody have a question?
Yeah.
Okay. If I combine those, that's minus 22b squared. Then I've got -12, positive 14. And then the 8. Done. We're not solving for any variables. We're not getting just a number. We're just combining what we can. Question?
When you distribute,
Hmm?
when you distribute,
Yes.
you don't make the mistake of putting in positive.
The 2?
The 20 and 2 when I distribute the 4b.
Oh, right here? 4b times that is negative, 4b times that is also.
Yeah.
Yep. Next page, equation solving, single variable. Most of the time, you're going to be doing single variable solving. Did everybody put a wall in? Did you subtract 21? What's the top phrase that's always going to be there? What does it say on the sideboard? Get variable alone. Don't worry about an answer. The answer will fall out. This goes away. I got all sorts of answers for -28 minus 21. What is this? What do you get from this? -49. Check and see, did you have positive 49? Did you have -7? What went wrong? Because most of you did the subtraction. If you have trouble with the calculator, come and see me during the second quarter. I gave you a shortcut for doing this type of problem. This is a fraction equal to a fraction. What was the shortcut? Cross multiply. What is 9 times y? 9y. Put an equal sign. What is 2 times 27? 54. The whole point in doing that shortcut is now you don't have to deal with the fractions. Is that a much easier equation to deal with? So do the cross multiplication. How do I get rid of that 9? Divide by 9, y equals 6. This goes away. This is called cross multiply shortcut. And that's for number 12. You can only do that if you have a fraction equal to a fraction. A lot of people thought they knew what they were doing for number 13, but they multiplied by the wrong fraction. What would you multiply to get rid of negative 3 over 8? Do you multiply by 3 over 8? What do you multiply by? All right, 8 over 3, both sides, but if that's negative, this also has to be negative. It's got to be the same sign, because what's a negative times a negative? That's what we want. We want all of this to cancel out. This goes away, this goes away, this is gone, this is gone. You should get a positive something on this side. What do you get from this? 64. What went wrong in 14? Did you not distribute? 6x minus 3 equals 3. Check and see. This was usually what went wrong. People did not multiply both parts. Down here, we're looking for step 4 to step 5. What's happening between step 4 and step 5? What number is being introduced? Yeah. What number is there that wasn't there in step 4? Mm-hmm. So, point to this, point to this. This is what happened. You always want to focus on what's different from line to line. When it happens on both sides, that's something to do with equality. If it's on both sides, it's something to do with that. Do you think it's addition or do you think it's multiplication? Multiplication. How many people put inverse property of multiplication? If you put inverse property of multiplication, you got half credit. If it had shown this from step 5 to step 6, that's inverse property, when you get the 1 as a result. When it's happening on both sides, that's usually something to do with equality. Underline that, put a box around it. What does consecutive mean? So give me an example of 2 consecutive numbers. 2 followed by 3, 4, 5. But if it's even, how much do you jump each time? 2. So it's got to be 2 numbers. Let's do this. That's what you were trying to figure out. 2 numbers that add up to negative 38 that are consecutive and even. Then won't they both have to be negative? If you're adding them up, then you get a negative? Two consecutive numbers. If you look at a number line, they follow each other, and they're even. You couldn't have an odd number. So we're not talking about negative 17, negative 19. You want the 2 closest even numbers that would add up to that. If you look in our notes, we did a problem almost exactly like it for our test study guide. Is that a positive 2 or a negative 2? Negative. So you should have a negative 6 and a positive 2x. Check and see. Do you have that for your next line? What's 6 minus 6? That's gone. So 2x equals negative 10. This just equals 0. Divided by 2x equals negative 5. Check and see. Do you have a negative 5 or a positive 5? So up here you would have to have negative 18 and negative 20. What does it mean when you get a false statement? This up here. Keep these on the chair. So as soon as you get false, we say no solutions. 1 is not equal to 2. But what if you get a true situation? This is true. What does infinite mean?
But it can be any solution.
Anything. Any number works. You can't get 20 right unless you have a good drawing. Here's what we needed. What's a rectangle look like?
2 sides that are opposite.
Is that a good rectangle? The length L of a rectangle is 3 times its width. That's what you needed. Since as soon as you see that, 3 times its width, you can write down whatever variable you want, but I'm using W for width. 3 times width, 3W. This is the width, the shorter side. This is the length. So you are solving that equation. Why am I adding them all up? Perimeter. Perimeter is the distance all the way around. Six is not the answer. We're almost there. That's this. 6 is the width, but what do we need? We need the length. This is the length. So what should I do with the 6? How does that help me find the length? Multiply by 3. I have to put that 6 in right there. 18. How many people had 6 for an answer? You were halfway there. Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get the 8?
This was the section that a lot of people had trouble with. They need everybody looking up here. You guys are overthinking this. You have to do less work when you do this. Watch. Circle that. That's what you have to get alone. Get the variable alone. That's all it's asking for. So, this is your job. You want R all by itself. How do you get R all by itself? Divide by T. What happens to the T's? Goes away. Is R by itself?
Yes.
Don't do anything to this. That's your answer. Some people did that and then they changed things around and put numbers in. All we're doing is getting the variable alone. You do this so that when you get to your physics class or your chemistry class and you're given an equation, you can figure out a formula for, this would stand for rate. This would stand for distance, time. So look at number 22. What are we trying to get alone? This time x. So put a line, put x all by itself. Your job is to get rid of all the other stuff on that side. So how do we get rid of minus y?
Divided by y.
How do we get rid of minus y?
Oh, add y.
Plus y, plus y. Some of you started off that way, and it was good. You got rid of the y. What's left on the left?
2x.
2x. What is y plus y?
2y.
2y. Some of you said it was equal to y squared or something else. X is not alone yet. How do you get rid of the 2? You got to get rid of the 2 by dividing. So what is left over here?
Oh, x.
You do whatever it takes to get x alone, and then whatever's on the other side is the answer. '23 was the one I thought would give you trouble. What am I trying to get alone? X. So I make a line, and at the very bottom, I'll do that. This is what I want. I want that all by itself. How do you get rid of minus 7?
Add 7.
You don't have to do any work. You just write down y plus 7. There's nothing to do there. This goes away. Negative 2/3 x. Is it alone yet? How do you get rid of that? Negative 3/2, but you have to watch yourself. Is negative 3/2 only multiplying the y? Multiplying the whole side. So what do you have to put in here? We are done. You don't have to do any more work. Is x by itself? You're done. That's what you were attempting to do. Should be over there. Oh, check it. Just put it on the table over there. You guys are doing too much work. Your job is to get stuff alone. You do whatever it takes. You added something, then you multiplied by something. You're just creating a new formula. Have you ever done in science class conversions between Fahrenheit and Celsius? The next time you see this, we'll actually have those formulas. And we'll be doing the same exact thing with them. Don't overthink these. Like number 24. A equals P plus PRT. It's on the same page as those other problems, so you're doing it the same way. But which letter do we want to get alone, according to the problem? 4R. That's just like them telling us 4x. It just happens to be in a word problem. 4R. So put a line. And at the bottom we want at the very bottom we want R by itself. We just have to get rid of that stuff. Everything around the R has to move to the other side. How do you get rid of the P? Subtract P. That goes away. I can't do anything with that, so I just write it down. A minus P. What's left over here? We're almost there. R is not yet alone. How do you get rid of things that are next to something? Divide it. Divide. I don't have to do it one at a time. I can do it all at once.
Oh, you can?
Divide by P, what else?
And T.
And T. Divide by P and T. That goes away. That goes away. Look at the other side. Doesn't that look exactly like that? You're doing less work. You're just doing the actions that it takes to get the variable alone. You can't do anything with any of this because they're not like terms. You're creating a formula. So you tell me, if I've got m equal to x1 plus x2 over 2, and what am I solving for?
X squared.
X,
Oh, X1.
x1. That 1 is not an exponent because it's lower. What do we call those when they're below the variable? What do you call this little number? Have you heard of subscripts? A subscript is just a name. That is x number 1, this is x number 2. Instead of having a different letter, we're just using a little number underneath. So this is what we want to get alone, right here. So make a wall. Put down x1 equals. You've got to get rid of everything that's on that side. How do you get rid of that 2?
Multiply.
Multiply by what? By 2. What happens? This goes away. What's left? What's on this side? I can't do anything with it. I just write 2m. What's left here? I've almost got it. How do I get rid of this? I can't do anything with this. I just write it. 2m minus x2. Does that look like any of my choices? Which one has 2m minus x2?
You want to play that? No, I'm just. I know.
We are almost done. We got to do the inequalities. That'll be it.
Hold on.
If you have half credit on some of the inequalities, it's because you didn't have an open or closed circle. What kind of circle do you have with that? Closed
That's what I did.
circle. So I need to darken that in like this. That's what you should have had. Put a little n over here. You always put the variable to the right. I didn't ask for it this time, but always put the variable just to show that every single place where you darkened in is a possible answer. Test it out. Actually check it. Let's check 0. You can check anything you want over here. So let's see. Is 0 less than 2? Does that make sense? Then you pick the right direction. If you pick this way, that means you're saying that 5 and 6 are an answer, and 5 and 6 are not less than 2. Always test something. I'm testing a 0 just because I like 0. You test anything in the direction that this is going. How about this one? Is this open or closed? Open circle. What does that look like? That looks like open circle. Let's test something. Put this in. Let's put in a 2. We'll test that. 2 greater than -3. Does that make sense? That makes sense, therefore I must be in the right direction. Last one. Yep.
Why is it open? I thought it's
Let's test this. Let's take -6. Is -4 greater than -6?
Yeah.
Yes. So we must be in the right direction. 29. We're looking at steps 3 to 4. What's the only thing that happened? You went from this to N. What do you call that? That's identity property. Distributive involves multiplication. Commutative, you switch things around. Associative, you put in parentheses. The only one that works is C. Next page. Take a look. What went wrong? Did you do the distribution wrong? Did you get 3x minus 72? Did you get 24x plus 36? Gentlemen, gotta do something different for the second quarter. 31. That was your answer. How come -2 is not part of the answer?
Because -2 is not closed.
It's because of the circle. The circle's open, which means it's not part of the answer. If the circle's closed, then it's part of the answer. So we just wanted stuff less than -2, and that's just -6 and -4. What happens when I divide by a negative?
Oh, it changes the thing. Yeah, see, that's what I did.
It changes the direction. We should have x greater than 4. What does that look like? That looks like
Oh gosh.
and that's an x.
Why were you talking about that?
Take a look at the first step for number 33. Did you combine this and this to start off with?
No.
There's too many x's floating around. If they're on the same side, just combine them. Minus 7x. Now, I can take care of getting rid of one side. This is a fixable mistake. When it's pointing this way and you divide by a negative, now it's going to be pointed this way. Last two. Stick with me. If I'm going too fast, all of this is being recorded. Take a look at the video that'll be online this weekend. Last. This question is just asking you about the rule I just talked about. When's the only time you reverse the symbol?
Negative.
What are you doing? Multiplying or dividing by a negative. That's what's happening here. You're dividing by a negative. Do you only... Right? Let's look this way. Do you only divide on one side?
No.
No. So I'm going to cross this out.
Oh.
That's only dividing on the left.
Wow.
That's only dividing on the left. That doesn't make any sense. It's got to be on both sides. When you divide by a negative, the symbol switches. It was pointed this way, now it's pointed this way. This is the proper one. As soon as you divide by the negative, it switches direction. Last one. What's the width? 5. Some of you got so used to doing variables, you put in a variable. They're telling you it is 5. And we don't know the length. L is less than or equal to 10, but that's not what's being asked for. They're saying, what's the maximum it could be? Out of that, 10. The maximum is 10. I'm available on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on. Is everybody aware that you have Monday and Tuesday off?
Yes.
So as soon as you can come see me to work on corrections would be next Thursday.
Mr. Burnett, question.
Let's get calculators back to the toolbox.